Okay, it seems we're live here. And I'm just going to wait a minute or so before we get going. And the reason that I am doing a live stream right now instead of doing a video like I normally do it, for one, my live stream capabilities are back after exposing the white helmets. And Joanna Nata Sagara took our channel down for exposing the white helmets. So now I finally got my channel back after waiting, God, nearly 6-7 months for having our live streaming capabilities taken down. But the main reason I'm doing a live stream right now instead of putting together the video is because I already made a video. I already spent I spent an hour just saying the video, not even getting into it and actually editing up the video like I normally do, which takes countless and countless hours. But after I made the video, did it all, I realized that my audio wasn't set up correctly. So I spent an hour talking to myself and nobody heard it. So I said, screw it, I'm not doing that again. And I'm just going to run through all this information I have about the attacks, and I'll do it live. And you can all sit here and watch it with me. And we're going to make the best of things here. So it seems like people are pouring in now, and we're going to go ahead and start the video and run through the evidence that we have here. So first thing I want to take note of is before the actual attacks happened, this was about a week beforehand, we had supposedly hundreds of civilians that were being killed by U.S. airstrikes in Mosul. That is, U.S. airstrikes in Mosul. Then they went on to actually blame ISIS, saying that they were using them as human shields. Go figure. That's what terrorists do, right? Right. So let's go ahead and listen to what they had to say here. Oh, right. That's right. You guys can't hear it. So basically, they go on and say that they use them as human shields. And the fact of the matter is, I'll get to that in a second. Just a week before, hundreds of civilians were dying because of the U.S. airstrikes in Mosul. So then we look on down the road, a few days down the road. Now we have Turkey building 2 military bases in northern Syria. Again, this is before the supposed chemical attacks by, again, supposedly by the Syrian government, which we've yet to see any solid proof of. Yet we still have unilateral action. Turkey was creating permanent military bases in Syria, which indicates that they had no indication of leaving anytime soon. We also had the Pentagon expanding their air bases in northern Syria, which also leads to, again, before the attacks, that they had no intention of leaving anytime soon. So then we lead on to this, the gas attacks. And unilaterally, the United States media and Western media came down, slamming it hard in everybody's face. Oh, evil Assad, Hitler. This mentality that they like to put in your mind, gassing. Oh, this is like the Holocaust or something like that. And we had her showing the pictures of these victims. And again, it's horrid. People were dying of gas attacks. I get it. Even if that's 100% true, it's horrid. But this right here, this statement, this is why I showed you just a week prior. The United States was saying, oh, it wasn't our fault. There was terrorists. The terrorists are the reason why our bombs killed hundreds of civilians, which then we had Nikki Haley saying this. And again, you can't hear it because of stupid Google here. But what she says is, how many more children have to die before the Russians care? How many more children have to die before the Russians care is what Nikki Haley said with her rat-looking teeth here. You can see. Anyway, that's baseless. But anyway, it's double standards to start off with. They're blaming Russians and Syrians, obviously the obvious targets. And that whole rhetoric campaign was going on. Okay, that was directly after the gas attacks. And I did videos covering that. And I made videos before the wave of propaganda came out because I was right on top of that. And that leads us to this. Don't they know? Okay, the OPCW back in 2013, when the first round of gas attack allegations came out, Syria was on point. They were saying, come, investigate. Send in UN investigations. Send in delegations. We want you. We want you. And it took forever. It took months of them begging, come, come. They said, it's not us. It's the terrorists. It's the terrorists. Come in and investigate. And that's the reason why the UN investigation was there in this first 2013 allegation against Syria. In those first allegations, the reason the UN delegation was there to investigate was not because of Assad. They were there to investigate because of the investigations Assad wanted them to investigate, because the Syrian opposition was using illegal chemical weapons against the people of Syria and the Syrian military. And it just so happened the day that Carla Del Ponte and her team showed up there in 2013, boom, the day that they showed up, just a mile down the road from where they were actually staying the night, you had these gas attacks, the big ones that Obama was like, this is our red line and it's been crossed, and everybody remembers in 2013. And after that, Carla Del Ponte said there was not enough evidence to prove that it was the Syrian government, but the counter, it looks like it was the rebels or the opposition forces. So because of that, no further actions was taken against Assad. The only ones that continued the rhetoric was the media and the government without baseless claims. So they claimed that they knew. And in my video about this that I did just 2 days ago, you hear Obama saying, we know. And it's the exact same. It's a model. It is a exact mirror of what happened with Obama and what happened with Trump here. Despite the fact that Trump just a few days prior said that we're backing off of removing Assad from power, and then, oh, just a few days later, we have Assad gassing his own people. It's like shooting yourself in the foot. And I know everybody's already mentioned this, and I'm just rehashing this for people that might not have heard it yet. But anyway, what my point was, the OPCW came in with the jurisdiction of the United States, with the jurisdiction of Germany and other countries that are a part of the OPCW, which is the chemical weapons watchdogs, the ones that come in and make sure that nobody's using any illegal chemical weapons. They were looking over Assad. They were the ones that took away all the weapons and any facilities that could possibly make chemical weapons. They made sure that was all dismantled. They actually took the chemical weapons to the United States, and they took the chemical weapons to Germany. So you hear in the media today, oh, it is Russia's fault for not making sure Syria didn't have chemical weapons. But the fact of the matter, the ones that were overlooking that in the OPCW was the United States and their allies. So that's another factor you have to take into mind when you hear all this rhetoric. If it so happened that all this rhetoric was true, it's the United States' fault for not making sure Syria had a maniac that still had hidden gas somewhere. It's their fault, not Russia's fault. Continuing on. So as we know, the White Helmets was the main source of the allegations. They were the ones on the ground that were first responders. They were the ones that provided the video evidence. They provided the testimony from the people that supposedly were victims of this. They were the ones that were on the ground taking care of the victims and providing the pictures, allegations, everything. The White Helmets. But as we know, the White Helmets have ties with Al-Qaeda, ISIS, al-Nusra, all the terrorists in Syria. They have been spotted with them. There's videos of the headquarters, the main headquarters in Aleppo for the White Helmets. On the wall, they have pictures of ISIS and the ISIS flags. And right next door is the al-Nusra, which is Al-Qaeda in Syria. Their branch was right next door to where the head building for the White Helmets was in Aleppo. So this is an organization that has ties with terrorism. The leader of their organization, or the supposed leader of the organization, is on a no-fly list, which is where you're put when you're considered a terrorist according to the United States government. So even the leader of this organization is considered a terrorist by the very same ones that use the White Helmets as their main source of the ones saying that, oh, the Syrian government is gassing their own people. The White Helmets told us, so we know. We saw on radar a plane flying over, so we know. So besides that, there were some other funny things around the white helmets. Again, we had pictures and video of the white helmets saving the victims of these gas attacks. So if a government uses a chemical attack, most likely you would think they would use weaponized chemicals, which weaponized sarin has been known, or is known, not has been known, to seep in the skin. If you make contact with sarin, it seeps into the skin and kills you within minutes. It is highly dangerous. So we had the white helmets not only not wearing hazmat or proper ventilation, it's like a lawnmower mask that he's wearing, just dust masks on some of these guys to handle the sarin gas. So if this was weaponized sarin, what we're saying is that these people that were taking care of them should also be dead, just within minutes of these photos, because weaponized sarin seeps in through the skin, and if you don't have proper hazmat suits, you will die from it. The only possibility, if this was indeed gas at all, is that this was homemade chlorine gas or some kind of dull or made in your bathtub kind of chlorine or sarin gas that is less deadly. An example to represent that, back a few years back in Japan, there was gangs that created homemade sarin, and they used it on a subway station, if I'm correct there, and hundreds of people were injured, hundreds, and dozens died of this. And that was just a bathtub homemade chemical gas. So that alone was enough. And the people that responded, the first responders to that homemade attack in Japan, were full hazmat suits. They weren't wearing this. And that's that with that. Another thing about the white helmets is, on social media, they were bragging about how they're going to be carrying out a media campaign against new gas attacks. And that was before the gas had even carried out. And again, terrorist white helmets. And another thing that they did was they received a shipment of these gas masks the day before, or I think was a few days before the attacks went down as well. So it's kind of like, how did you know that there was going to be a chemical attack going down there? So these are another fishy things that we have to keep in mind when we're dealing with the white helmets against the ones that are the main source of the allegations that the United States used for justification of attacking a sovereign citizen without the going through Congress. So that's illegal. That should be enough to impeach anybody that was involved right then. They also went without UN charter. If you go look at the video I just uploaded recently from the representative of Bolivia, points out in the UN regulation that acting unilaterally without any consent of the rest of the UN Security Council to attack a sovereign nation is a war crime. And he pointed out the very laws that were broken. And yet we still see no action against the United States for carrying out an illegal attack against a sovereign nation. So this is illegal. Not only did they not wait to be sure that it was the Syrian government, it was illegal in the first place. So it's not that it was just immoral. It was illegal. So we should see action if law actually works, which we're not, because we know who controls the UN. The United States has too much control in the United States. The president of the Security Council was what's her face here? Haley, yeah. Nikki Haley, yeah, she's the president, Madam President. And then you saw with the Bolivia guy, with the representative of Bolivia, talking about Madam Haley, the Madam President Haley. But anyway, the United States has so much power over the UN. Israel has a lot of control over the United States, especially with Donald Trump saying, we're for Israel. Israel will be there forever. 100%. Everyone in his entire establishment is either an Ashkenazi Jew or has ties with Zionist groups or the AIPAC and this and that. And not to mention that, they're also a large number of the ones dealing with the financial system of the United States are a part of Goldman Sachs or former heads of Goldman Sachs, and actually members of Goldman Sachs that have prior corruption charges that they faced and got charged with. So that's who's going to be in charge of your money, and who's also going to be doing the money and taking away your tax dollars before these types of attacks. that. Oh, by the way, you know how much these missiles cost? You know how much these missiles cost? These bad boys cost 100 and not 100. They cost 1.5 million a piece, estimated. Just the missiles, not all the rest of the equipment and money that it takes just to operate the ships and to take care of these attacks and get in the position and the intelligence and paying all the people to do it. Just the missiles alone. The missiles themselves cost estimated $100 million at the least. That's boom, right there in less than an hour, we burned $100 million of taxpayer money on a whim, on something they didn't have proof for. But I'll get to that a little bit more in a second. So let's keep on going. So another thing we have to remember is that the terrorist groups get their chemical substance from Turkey, and this is a fact. This is not a whim or a possibility. This is a fact. I provided evidence of that on my video covering the gas attacks before that. The U.S. retaliation with Tomahawks, that the MP talked to not Congress, Parliament, the Turkish Parliament, giving evidence, eyewitness testimony, phone calls of the people that carried this out, that transferred. Oh, they had lists and documents of all the chemical weapons and other weapons that were sent through the border of Turkey and that was given to these terrorist groups and other FSA groups and ISIL themselves. So even what Turkey considers terrorists, according to their constitution, they were still supplying them with chemical weapons. That's a fact. Not only that, back in 2015, when Russia proved that they were supplying ISIS with financial support by buying up their oil, they were also giving them weapons and support. And there was two journalists, and that's just two examples. There's several other, but off the top of my head, there was two journalists that got 45 years in prison just for proving, and not just alleging, they proved that there was weapons and support going to ISIS and these other groups. And because they proved it and they put it out in the public, they were arrested for treason. But again, bringing it back, the MP to Turkey, to the parliament, proved that these chemical weapons were going through Turkey's border, and they were giving them to these terrorist groups, which eventually ended up on the border with Syria and these groups, and they were used against them. And that was proven in 2013. That was proven again in 2014, 2015, 2016, several cases of that. And the Russian, I forget the name of the Russian company that does that, but the Russians had investigations, the Syrian had investigations, there was other independent investigations that went in. And that evidence was provided to the OPCW, again, the one that overseen removing all chemical weapons away from the Syrian government. They came in and did the they were provided that information that the Russians did, and guess what they did? Nothing. They did nothing. They didn't do any further investigations, even though this was incriminating evidence against U.S.-backed rebels. So that's another thing we have to consider. That's something that didn't happen before we attacked Syria. There was no investigation that took place. So boom, there you go again. Another thing, just a week before the gas attacks in that area, it's the supposed gas attacks. Swedish Medical Association says the White Helmets murdered kids for the fake gas attack video. Murdered kids for a fake gas attack video. And this is also referenced by the Russian head. I forget her name. I'm not going to try to pronounce it right now without hearing it. But anyway, there was hundreds of people kidnapped from a Christian city just down the road from where this gas attack happened, and they went missing. They were captured by these terrorist groups, the same ones that were being attacked by the Syrian army when this all went down. So why they are saying that this is possibly the victims that they captured themselves and possibly used in these gas attacks videos is that in the gas attack videos themselves, you can see, other than, gas, you can see blunt force trauma. You can see other types of injuries, bullets and stabs and other types of injuries on these people, fresh injuries, I might add, not older ones, that had nothing to do with gas on the victims. So what they're suggesting, and this is something that could possibly find out if a true investigation were to take place, and I'll get to reason why that hasn't been taking place in a second. But if a real investigation took place, something like this could be proven, because there's enough evidence to support this, likely. So again, you had the United States acting quickly before any investigation could go down, because I believe that they know if an investigation goes down, they will once again, just like in 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016, they will prove that the FSA and these groups that we support and we finance and we use to try to take down Bashar al-Assad and the Syrian government will be proven to once again use these gas attacks to try to frame the Syrian government. And likely there's enough loose ends that they can tie that back to the United States government, which will be deadly incriminating, which this should be deadly incriminating, but this would be even worse. So to prevent this investigation to truly go down, why not just preemptively strike Syria? we didn't have proof for 2003 for the invasion of Iraq. We didn't have proof for airstrikes in Libya. We didn't have proof for Afghanistan. We didn't have proof for any other of these countries, Somalia. We didn't have proof for Yugoslavia. We didn't have proof we didn't have a true reason to start World War II either. You know that, right? Pearl Harbor was allowed to happen. That could have been prevented. But anyway, that's not on topic. But this is the reason why I think this might have gone down the way it did. Because if you allow the investigation to go down, which it didn't go down, and if you allow people to realize that they have no leg to stand on, the United States government has no proof, nothing to back up their statements. It is just completely baseless, false, hollow allegations. I'm still waiting for information. The Russian government's waiting for information. Syrian government's waiting for investigation. The people that actually have a brain that are part of the UN envoy are waiting for an investigation, such as Bolivia and Bulgaria, I believe, as well. Excuse me. And they have not provided that evidence so as of now. But moving on. So actually, before the retaliation strikes, the Tomahawks, that was, I think, later yesterday afternoon, the Israeli Air Force once again bombed Syrian army and Hezbollah positions in southern Syria, because again that's closest to Israel. But this was again the sort of their retaliation strikes and justification for continuing their airstrikes. So that's another thing to keep in note. And Israel is going to be one of the largest beneficiaries of these attacks going down. So another thing is, before the retaliation strikes happened, you had Turkey saying, we will support the U.S. military operation in Syria if launched. And if you remember what I said a minute ago, before the gas attacks, just a week before the gas attacks, Turkey was building more military bases in occupied Syria and northern Syria, which is completely illegal as well. That's an illegal attack, an invasion on a sovereign nation. But it's laws in Syria are about like laws are not followed. This is war. So yeah. But anyway, not only is Turkey, the U.S. is building more bases in northern Syria as well. But that's just another note. They said they would support that. So you can look for a possible invasion in the future from northern Syria as well as Israel. That's something I wanted to make note of. Israel suggested just last night that they want a buffer zone. And I had mentioned this before they even mentioned it. They want not only Golan, which is occupied territory of Syria, they want in between Syrian border, or not in between where Syria is and Jordan. They want to have a safe zone there. And this is another possible operation where they can launch another attack. And this is very important because they're about, the Syrian army is about to take back Daraa. And if they do that, they will cut off the border between Jordan and these terrorist organizations in FSA, which is backed by Jordan, which is backed by Israel, which is backed by Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Turkey, and the likes there. But if they put this buffer zone there, they will keep the Syrian government from cutting off the supply routes, the same as what happened with Turkey. That's why they launched Operation Euphrates Shield, so they can continue that lifeline. But it didn't quite go to plan there, being that ISIS was cut off as well by the SAA. And having that buffer zone, will again be a launching platform for more assaults from the United States, more assaults from Israel, more assaults from these proxy armies. And that's something I wanted to note. And for those that say, how does Israel benefit from this? Israel benefits from this because having your enemies in perpetual war keeps them from actually going to regain their occupied territory. Israel is occupying the Golan Heights and has been since Yom Kippur, I believe. And if there's no one there, if they're in perpetual war, they will not be able to retaliate and take their land back. And they won't be in the position to do that. Syria is not in the position to do that now because they're embroiled in war. They want the same thing to happen in Lebanon, same thing to happen in Iran, and they probably want the same thing to happen in Egypt as well. And we'll probably see that in the near future if nothing is done about it. But it benefits Israel. Israel wants more territory. They want to control the area because of the oil. Because of the waterways, you can control the trade. You can control everybody that flows through these different canals right there in the Levant. The Levant is the most valuable territory in the world. The Levant, like monetary wise. So think about it like this: all these billionaires, the Rothschilds and the likes, they're buying up territory in Israel. They're buying up territory in the Levant. So once this territory is finally controlled by Israel, which i.e. the Greater Israel Project, you can control all trade. You can control who goes through the waterways. You can control who goes across the land. You can control the air flow there because it'll be your territory. So you control the world's majority trade routes. You will make all kinds of money that way. All kinds of money. That is what the Greater Israel Project is truly about. Making Israel great again. That's what Trump is there for. He's not there to make America great again. He's there to make Israel great again. So let's move on. We covered the Israel topic there. So Syria calls the Tomahawk missile attacks on the airbase American aggression. And I agree with that. American aggression. There was no justification for it. There was absolutely nothing solid to justify it. They acted without Congress. They acted without UN Charter, and it is actually a war crime. But who's going to enforce that? We don't know. Is Russia? We'll have to find out. So another thing, the left-right paradigm. You have to keep in mind, this is not a real democracy. It is a left-right paradigm. Lawmakers praise Syria's strike. They want more consultations from the White House. They want more strikes. So both Democrats and Republicans, which are highly infiltrated by the Zionists, by the Jesuits, by all these different groups, it is not a real democracy. They want the same thing. This is just a charade. Trump is doing the same thing that we voted for him not to do because Hillary Clinton was publicly stating that she would do it. She said she would create a no-fly zone. She said she wants to topple Bashar al-Assad. She said she was for Israel. So we thought maybe Trump was not going to be for that. Maybe if we vote Trump in, he will not be that. He's a businessman. He's not a lifelong politician. But no, this is a left-right paradigm. They control the political system. They control who's in power. And Trump has been a pro-Israeli, pro-Zionist his entire life. He said it. He's 100% for Israel, 1,000% for Israel. And I mentioned that so many times in videos. And the people, okay, I'm going to take this opportunity to mention this, why I have you here, why I have the audience here. All these alt media that are coming out and saying, oh, Trump shocked us. Trump failed us. He lied to us. And it's true, he lied to you, but he also did lie to you because he told you who he was for. He told you who he's backing. You could look at his history. You could look at who he works with, where his business partners are. 99% of Trump's lead positions in his companies are Ashkenazi Jews. Everyone in his campaign was an Ashkenazi Jew. The vast majority of the people that he put in the establishment are Ashkenazi Jews or worked for Goldman Sachs or have ties with these Zionist companies. It is written all over the wall. He claimed that he was going to drain the swamp, and he filled the swamp. But again, it's that left-right paradigm. So when you have what was Alex Jones or AMTV Media or all these other companies saying, or these alt media saying that, oh, we are shocked. He's being controlled by the deep state. This is one that I keep hearing. He's been forced, pressured into anything like that. No, he was always for this. He was always for this. This is what he showed. He might not have said it quite clearly to you, but if you spent the time to actually look into it, you would see the possibility there. And I made note of it. Excuse me there. Oh. But again, moving on. So yeah, we mentioned Israel. Israel hails a U.S. missile strike against Syria airfield. So they were glorifying it. They were hailing it. Again, because who benefits? Israel benefits. Israel, because who is occupying Syria right now? Israel's occupying Syria, well, as the United States. But anyway, we already covered that a few minutes ago, and this is probably carrying on for a long time, so I'll continue on. So, Daesh militants attacked Syrian army positions simultaneously with the U.S. strikes. So we all know who created ISIS. It was a creation of ISIS, the Israeli Secret Service Intelligence Service, Israel, Saudi Arabia, because this is where all your radical Wahhabists come from. Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Turkey. It's that Wahhabism. It's not Islam. It's Wahhabism. There's a difference between Islam and Wahhabism. Wahhabism was created by Israel. This is why Israel plays a huge role in this. Wahhabism was created to control portions of Islam. It's not a true version of Islam. It is an apartheid. It is not real Islam. It is not. But anyway, ISIS attacks. So the proxies of the United States, the proxies of Israel, Turkey, and this coalition attacked simultaneously when the Hama was attacked. And Hama was the largest air base that was carrying out sorties and airstrikes against ISIS in that area. So they carried out that attack simultaneously. And what does that remind us of? That reminds us of Deir ez-Zor, when the United States carried out an hour-long airstrike, carrying out multiple airstrikes with multiple aircraft against the Syrian government. And this was an accident. This was an accident. This time it wasn't, but the last time it was an accident. And because of that, ISIS got to advance on that position and take it over from the Syrian government. So we have a copy and paste of that, except this time the United States believes they have a moral high horse, which they don't. We've already explained how they have no proof. So they are directly being the Air Force for ISIS again, for the terrorists again, that they're supposedly wanting to wipe out. Just last week, Trump was talking about how they're going to wipe out ISIS. But because the one that's fighting ISIS more than anyone else, they have ground forces, airstrikes, you name it. The Syrian government, they're the number one forces fighting ISIS. And when you fight Syria, when you fight the Syrian government, you are making ISIS expand. And that is prevalent due to that strike. They got to take advantage of it and take advantage and gain some ground because of it, just like in Deir ez-Zor. So obviously Iran, China, Russia, and their allies all condemn, Bolivia as well, condemn the strikes and actually stating how this is violating law. So that's obvious. So somebody has a brain. Something very interesting is French presidential nominee Le Pen condemns U.S. airstrikes on the airfield in Syria. So Le Pen condemns them. So at first you're like, oh, well, Le Pen might actually be for what's right. And it's possible. I'm not going to sit here and say I know for sure. But what did Trump do? Trump was talking about how he wanted to work with Russia, how he wanted to stop trying to take out Assad. And that was the thing up until a few days ago. That's what it was. So is this Le Pen actually being legitimate and honest? Which we know Le Pen has been working closely with Trump, so we have to be suspicious. But is this Le Pen being honest, or is she just, again, trying to kiss up to Russia, kiss up to these guys here? Just so when she actually gets in power, possibly, is she just going to turn around and start kissing Israel's ass or kissing the United States' ass and doing what they want? We have to wait and find out. But it's interesting. She's one of the very few that actually condemned the airstrikes against Syria. So what was Russia's response? What was Putin's response? Obviously, again, they said it was an aggressive move. It was an aggression against a sovereign nation, and I totally agree there. It's in violation of international law and also under invented pretext. So he's saying that they created the pretext to attack, and that's what seems to be true here. Obviously, I can't prove to you that, but the United States didn't wait to have proof for their actions either. So the United States attacks on false pretexts. We also had other members of the Russian government saying that this puts us one step away from global conflict. One step away. We are now one step away from World War III, according to some members within the Russian government. And people want to know why I got so angry last night, why I had my rant last night. This is putting the lives of billions of people on the line. So I'm going to get a little bit angry. I'm going to shout. I'm going to swear a little bit. If curse words is worse than millions of people, billions of people dying, then I'm so sorry for you. You need to get your priorities straight. So again, Russia is coming out strong on this. Russia is highly condemning this, which, I mean, it's granted, yes, but it's also very depressing, to say the least, that now we are that much closer to World War III. So Russia suspends the memorandum with the U.S. flight safety. Russia suspends the memorandum on the prevention of incidents ensuring air safety during operations in Syria reached with the United States, so they can no longer guarantee the safety of U.S. aircraft that are flying over Syria, which possibly means they could shoot them down, which again could lead to global conflict. They also suspend the confliction channel with the United States and Syria. So they're no longer are they guaranteeing, they're no longer keeping communication with the United States about any operations in the area. So that doubly makes it dangerous. And I'm not saying it's not the right thing to do, because it's granted. The United States earned that because they broke laws. Excuse me again. But again, this is something we have to worry about, because just like back when Turkey shot down the Russian jet, all channels were cut off then too. So we're even closer than we were back with when I started my channel, because of what happened with Turkey. What justified me to actually say, hey, I need to get my ass up and create a channel and start covering this. That was my reasoning to put a lot of effort into a channel. And this is worse than that. This is worse than that. So other interesting information about the attacks: only 23 out of the 59 Tomahawk missiles reached their target in Syria. So again, that is like that's less than 50% right there. That's like 45% accuracy as far as these Tomahawk warheads. And these bad boys, which again, all 59 warheads, that's costing over $100 million of U.S. taxpayers' money. They're landing in the backyards of innocent civilians. So you're talking about launching these attacks because you feel so bad of the civilians that were supposedly being gassed, which you had no proof of, and your warheads are landing in their backyards, which could blow up an entire house. Like, come on, that's double standards. Your inaccurate missiles are landing in the backyards of innocent people that had nothing to do with it. So yeah, so only 23 of the was it 23? I have short-term memory loss. So yeah, 23 of the missiles hit their mark, and approximately 6 aircraft were taken out of commission, and 5 people were killed on the airbase. 1 brigadier general, according to some sources. But a thing to note, let's actually go back and look here, or we only have one picture. But the runways themselves weren't taken out of commission, and the hangars themselves weren't taken out of commission. So the base is still operational. And actually, this morning, this was the first jet taking off from there. So they're already carrying out sorties from there again. They already put it back in operation. So it's not as worse. It's not as bad as it could have been, but that's beyond the point. It's the concept. It's the very fact that the United States broke international law and went without Congress approval from the United States, without any proper investigation into the attacks at all, to carry out these attacks on a sovereign nation. So another thing, Breitbart, which was created in Israel and is Donald Trump's favorite media organization because it's who he cites and allows in every conference, says the Breitbart says that Russia may have directly participated in Syrian chemical weapons attack. So again, we have Trump's favorite media organization not only saying that Syria was responsible for chemical attacks, they're trying to tie Russia into this, which is insane. Not only did you not have any proof there, you're trying to reach even further and again incite world conflict, world war. This is completely insane. So what is the repercussions of it? What happens? Well, the initial things that we know that's going to happen because of these attacks is that Russia has already made note that they're going to increase air capabilities in Syria, the Syrian air capabilities. Because right now, Syria only has control over the Panther anti-aircraft systems and the S-200 systems as well. So they might actually give them control of maybe an S-300, or Russia might actually put more S-300 and 400 systems there. And I know a lot of people were like, well, why didn't they take them down in the first place? They already had S-300 and S-400s there. But we were actually looking in that last night, and these systems are actually concentrated around Damascus, Latakia, and Aleppo. So this being in the center, these more advanced systems are not actually, they cover it, but they're not in mass there. And because of that, that leads your equipment being highly susceptible to being countered. So if your 300 and 400 systems are countered, then your air coverage for these highly populated areas are then wiped out. So that's another possibility there. And another thing is you don't want to give up your technology. The S300 and 400s, they don't know much about them yet. Well, I don't know exactly how much they know, but considering it's brand new technology, the S400 especially, they don't want to give up any information that they might not already have if they don't absolutely have to use those equipment. So in the split time that they had to react, they might have thought that using an S400 system might not have been the best choice down the road. So that's another possibility there. So I think that's going to be all for now. I haven't actually looked and see what everyone was commenting here because I just wanted to burn through this because I had so much information. And yeah, so I actually don't know where to actually get and look at the live stream. It's weird. I see you guys on there. And I appreciate everyone for coming. It's actually been a really good live stream. And that's going to be all for now. If you guys want to support us, you can head down to our Patreon. You can help us out on PayPal. It's just to help us out. We do whatever we can. We do as much as we can with as little as we get, and we appreciate all the support and the support that we've been getting over the past few days. It's been phenomenal. And I want to thank all the new subscribers. We've gotten over 1,000 new subscribers over the past few days alone. And I appreciate all the support that you guys give us. It is much appreciated. And that's going to be all for now, guys. Continue to keep your eyes open. And as always, this has been Tyranny Unmasked. And now I got to figure out how to turn it off. I don't actually know how to turn it off. Oh, here we go. Yes, okay. Peace out, guys.